Hello again, Ian Stokey with Mastermind Games, back with more Warmachine and a unit of Cygnar Sword Knights, including command attachment. Alright, I'm going to start with, I'm going to do this. Leather White 09062. So I'm going to try something a little more complex than I've done before. I'm going to do half the armor one color and half the other split vertically. So the real kicker on this is going to be the seam, where the armor are on the seam. Alright, so this is a full 12-man unit, so I'm just going to do effectively one model. This is the command attachment UA, so I'm going to go down. I'll overextend a bit at first, and then just backfill with the blue, which is the darker color, when I get to that. So here, the split is something like that, and the shoulders I'm going to do in a different color. This will probably be in gold, I'm thinking. So I'm going to do the left side of the body in the white and the right in the blue. We'll just see how well I pull it off. This is very much an experiment for me. But this is my second unit of Sword Knights that I own. My first unit is actually one of the first units I got when I started playing Warmachine years ago. And that is an iconic color scheme if you want to paint it that way. Just look at the video I just did for Archduke Runewood, and that's pretty much the color scheme I used for that. So, Sword Knights are one of the oldest martial orders in Cygnar. They formed initially to fight the great beasts of the wild, i.e. war beasts, but when warjacks were invented, they added that to their repertoire as well, both in destroying them and in learning how to command them. And the officer here is actually a jack marshal. Okay. I think I've got the officer pretty good. I will move on to the rest of the unit and come back when it's all dry and all done. Okay. Next, Golden Skin 09092. The leader model, the normal unit leader, is the only one showing any flesh, so I should technically have done this first before the armor, but I kind of forgot about it. So just a little bit of that right on the face in there. And there we go. I can need a little more white on the visor as well right there. So I'm going to let that dry and switch to a different model in the unit. So grab one at random. And Ultramarine blue, which is really stuck. Oh boy, lid got stuck. It happens. Okay. Carefully just bisecting about the halfway point. It's a little more obvious in a minute. This is just going to take a lot of meticulous work to do, and that's all there is to it, so it is going to go a bit slower. Can loosen up on the limbs, though. I could have sworn I had a no quarter magazine, which is the magazine Privateer Press used to put out before they switched exclusively to digital, or an issue of that, excuse me, I'm saying only about half what I mean to say, with some variant color schemes for Sword Knights, but I think I might have gotten it mixed up with an article on variants schemes for Stormguard, or for Stormblade Infantry. So, and this won't look too bad at all when it's done, but it's going to just take a lot of work to do. Alright, it's not too bad at all. Now just to finish up with the shielding again. Using the bottom here and the tip of the tail on the Cygnus. Just kind of bisect. Yeah, so with units, I like to do a variant. I like to do each one a little differently. Helps speed up gameplay when I can tell quickly and easily what model belongs to what unit, and I think that's got him not too bad, so I'll apply this to the rest and move on when it dries. Okay, next, if I can find the right bottle. 09164 Dark Elf Skin. I decided to do a dark colored cloth to contrast with the other overall brighter colors. And I can loosen up on this a bit. Choosing to do the command attachment standard bearer, just since he's got the most cloth. So Sword Knights generally come from the landed nobility in Cygnar and trained practically from birth, but unlike the medieval European knights they were based off of, who were highly competitive with each other for status, these Sword Knights focus on group tactics, and one of their key abilities has always been the option to forego a damage roll against a Warjack or War Beast in order to inflict an automatic point of damage. I don't care if I end up nicking the iconography on the banner at this point, because it will get picked out later anyway. The fringe will be done in a different color as well. Oh man, just before I forget, let's get the plume. Having that match the cloth. Notice I'm using the entire edge of the brush, not just the tip here. It's got the cloth and plumes, apply to the rest, and move on in a bit. Alright, next, plate mail metal. That loud thumping you hear is my neighbors with their stereo on full blast again. So, yeah. So this, I'm just going to get the grip on the sword. So the Sword Knight's primary weapon is the Caspian Battle Blade, a heavy cleaving sword meant for, that is often used as much as a tool as it is a weapon, as when fighting warjacks they will use it to bend pipes and jam gears. And here I'm going to get the back side of the shield, which functions as the sheath for the battle blade, with this slot here being where it rests when not in use. I'll go around to the front and get this top bit here and the trim on it. Now the second sword hanging off the back is ceremonial. The Sword Knights carry it, but it is a blade only to be drawn in the afterlife, in the world of Urkane. Alright. Go ahead and get the belt buckle, which is a detail I forget half the time. I'll get the grip on the ceremonial blade and the steel as well. Okay. More metal on the battle blade. And I think that's good. I'll apply that to the rest and move on. Alright. Fur brown. This is pretty much just going on the belt and the straps of the shield. So I shouldn't need too terribly much of it. I only have 2 base coats left to take care of now. I know it's going to be a little difficult to see on the camera. So I'm going to have my hand in the light, but got a weird angle. This is still better than what I used to have to do with these videos and the angles I was sometimes forced to work with, because my older camera could not be mounted on a tripod. Fun. And the ceremonial blade is a separate piece that's just connected by a little, it's got that one connection point right there, so it's a real pain. Actually, these were pretty tough to glue together. For some reason they resisted the glue, I don't know why, but whatever. They're together. We're fine. Alright. Okay. It's good. Let that dry, and I can apply this to the rest. Okay, antique gold 09050. Working on the standard bearer because he's got almost as much as the officer. Got the insignia, the pommel on the ceremonial sword, the insignia here. He does not have a battle blade. His job is just holding the flag up. Get the here. My hand keeps going in front of one of my lights. There's not much I can do about that. Not right now, anyway. I may have to do a second coat on this, but if I do, it'll be off camera. Do little sicknesses on the shoulders. And up here. I think this is meant to be a swan, but it's kind of messed up. Well, it's fine. Fringe. And of course the iconography, the Cygnar sword, the whole shebang. Alright, I think that's got it. Apply to the rest. When all this dries up, I can start shading. Alright, time to shade. Ancient Bronze 09049. Knitting the paint into a wash with 1 part water to 1 part paint. So find the right brush for the job here, that'll do. And just going over the gold. Okay. I'm not very talkative right this minute, I'm just very tired. I've woken up at 3 in the morning. Okay. Apply that to the rest, let that dry completely, and then I can move on to the next one. Alright, next, Ruddy Leather 09109. Just punch the camera. Get that in over the leather on the belts and scabbards. And the shield straps. A little bit more. Okay. Apply that to the, maybe a little more right here. Yeah. I'll apply that to the rest and move on when it's dry. Oh boy, and I dropped 192 frames in 2 seconds. Okay. Great. Okay. Blackened Steel 09205. Alright. Yeah, that's what I was afraid would happen, but that's alright. The belt buckle is always going to be kind of funny. Goes around the back of the shield here. And the gripping blade of the Caspian battle blade. Trying to avoid going into the indents, the holes in the sword. But, alright. And then carefully get the edge. Definitely do not want to hit the blue or the white. Alright. Apply to the rest and move on. And next, where is it? Dark Elf Shadow 09163. At the point where I can only shade one color at a time now. So the cloth. Over here, just let it flow down. And the plume. Okay, and a little bit right here. Careful not to hit the leg. Alright. Apply that to the rest, and when that dries, I can do half the body. Okay, next is Linen White 09061, and this is where it gets super tricky. Test my luck on the shield first, I think. So far, so good, but I have to be very careful, not just with where the paint's going, but with how thick, thin it is. Can get a little more loose on the arms, at least where they don't come close to the shield straps, but then I can get a little more loose on the back here. The leg. Trying to keep myself very slow and controlled right this minute. Alright. Okay, moment of truth. And the first insect I've seen all spring is crawling right on my table, right underneath my camera. Okay. Going right up to the seam there. Okay, that one worked. So apply to the rest. Wait, I think I need a little more on the knee here. Okay, apply to the rest. And then when it's completely dry, do the same thing for the blue. Alright. Ultramarine Shadow 09187. Just got 2 left, and one of them's just barely going to be a dot. Not that brush. There. The brush I needed was trying to run away. It's more important than before that I be very careful. It was the darker of the colors. I think the front there is going to be the most difficult part, so I should be able to loosen up a bit. And some of the right arms seem to be miscast. So, which in this case means the iconography on the right shoulder is not as clear on some as it is on others. It's alright by me, I'm just going with it. Keep the brush nice and wet during all of this, going down the leg. I actually have less to worry about here since the leather is predominantly on the left side. Okay, it's not too bad at all. Now, very carefully go into the shield side. Okay, I think that's got it. So, apply to the others. When it dries, I can get the last shade. Alright, final shade, Golden Shadow 09091. Just a tiny dot because this is the only model showing any skin at all. Just dab that in the face there. There's plenty. And let that dry completely, then I can do some eye details and start highlighting. Matte white. Now that all the shading is dry, I'm going to get the unit leader's eyes ready. Need a very fine brush for this. Just fill in like that. Need to give that a minute to dry. Okay, time to finish up the eyes and get some visors. So matte black. Just going to carefully dot in some pupils. Okay. Now on one of the, let's pick one where it's can be a little easier to see. Just going to carefully use the same matte black to fill in the slot of the visor. Just like that. And once that dries, I can highlight. Okay, time to highlight. Golden Highlight 09093. And this is the only model, again, with any skin showing, so taking a ragged feathered brush, something along the lines of this. No water, straight paint only. We're going to rub that out on the paper towel here until it looks like there's nothing left. And just lightly dust the area to be applied, going against any raised areas, so mostly hitting the bridge of the nose there. Focus on the most readily visible areas, and there we go. Okay. The brush needs to be completely dry, so I want to switch freely. So next, I will try the white, so Ghost White 09063. Again, picking a brush suitable for the job, rubbing out most of the paint in, slightly dusting. This could be the most challenging part of this paint scheme. We'll just see what happens. So focusing on the most readily visible surfaces. Okay. Apply that white to the rest and move on. Okay. Ultramarine highlight 09189. Making sure I'm actually recording. This one is just about shot, it seems. I think I have a spare on hand, though. Okay. I think the nozzle's a little plugged, so paperclip right down it. Boy. I'm gonna have to see if that's enough and just roll with it, I suppose. Again, putting the focus on the most readily visible areas. Going against any raised areas. Or, no, going against any edges, excuse me. I'm slaughtering the English language, oh boy. Which is bad because it's the only language I speak. Now, the white's pretty subtle, but that stands out much more, especially on the leg. So, apply that to the rest, and then move on. Next, Dark Elf Highlight 09165. I'm choosing the Command Attachment Officer just because he's got a bit more than this than many of the others. Just going along the cloth. I'm going to do the most readily visible surfaces only, so the underside here I'm not going to worry about highlighting. And I will get the back. And this will stand out a bit better going against the raised edges like so. And let's not forget the plume on his helmet, which most have a straight tail. Runewood's got a mohawk. The command attachment here, something of a 80s rocker band hair or maybe a mullet, but okay. Hit that on the rest and move on. Alright, next up is 09111 Burnt Orange. Which is plugged up really bad. There we are. The utility of the common paperclip. And I am going from the lowest part of the model to the highest, to the highest on this. So the gold, for example, here will be one of the last colors I do. And just getting the belts and scabbards pretty much. So apply to the rest and move on. And next, True Silver 09207. Well, I hope I have enough of this for the next video. Otherwise, I'm going to have to take a hiatus while I wait for paint to come in. this one, little belt buckle. The bulk of it on the battle blade. And of course the handle on the ceremonial sword. And the edging of the shield. Okay. Apply to the rest, and then I will have, I think, just one color left. Alright. Last highlight, new gold 09051. And I'm pulling out the officer again, because he's got the most. Well, technically I think the standard bearer might have a little more, but he's got more of the, what I'll call the iconic details on him. Refreshing the paint as needed. Shoulders, one of the big ones. I want to brush those up nice and shiny. His battle blade is much more elaborate than that of his subordinates. More detailing and a Cygnus-shaped pommel. Let's not forget the Cygnus on his shield. And of course the back of the cape with the embroidered Cygnus and the fringe. I'll use a little more straight paint right down here where my shade on the cape got into it. Okay. Alright, not too bad. Apply to the rest, and then start on the base. Okay, Ultramarine blue. Time to do the front arcs, or start anyway. So, Warmachine relies on a front arc through which attacks are made and facing is determined, which is the front 180 degrees of the base. Technically in the rules, you base it off your model's shoulders if it's not otherwise marked, which what I'm doing now. So first I'm going to deliberately overextend it, and I'm just picking a faction color or some other appropriate color. I try not to use the same base color more than once in any game. So Crix is green, Cygnar's blue, Mercenaries are yellow, what troll can I have are orange as examples. Convergence is gray. And then apply that to the rest, and then I will trim it back after it dries, which will be the next step. Alright, now I'm going to mark up the base, matte black. While I'm mixing that up, this is a self-healing cutting mat Privateer puts out. It's got markings on it for the common base sizes of Warmachine hordes that don't have the arcs printed on them. So I'm going to center that model over the 30mm here. Get out what I hope is enough paint without being excessive. And get a nice thin detail brush. Use just enough water to dilute the paint, the same amount I would with a base coat. Then just carefully mark the edges of the arc. And make sure I'm on camera. Just touch that up real careful, like. I might need to let these dry just a little more. This blue's feeling a bit sticky. Okay, so I'm going to apply that to the rest and let that. So I'm going to apply that to the rest and then finish touching up that arc. It's not going to focus too well with a camera weird like this. Okay, now that all the models in the unit have been marked, I'm switching to a flathead brush, taking that same matte black and just carefully backfilling, being real careful where feet and other pieces of the model come close to the edge of the base. I don't want to have to repaint anything. Okay, there we go. Get the rest and move on when it's dry. Okay, now to mark a few models and do the basing. So matte white again. Not too much. I hope I can get the lid back on. There we go. So first off, leader model here, just to make sure it's perfectly clear, is getting an L on the back of his base. Just like that. Usually you can tell pretty quickly based on the sculpt, but sometimes it's more ambiguous. And then since this is the second full unit with command attachment, the officer is getting a Roman numeral 2 on the back of his base. So all I have to do to keep track if I use them both is just write that on the back of the card. Or write that on the card. Okay, now while those are drying, we'll get some glue solution ready. So white glue, a convenient mixing container, in this case the lid to a bottle of Gatorade. Generous amount of glue. Got 12 models that are going to need this treatment. And an equally generous amount of water. And a brush that's more or less going to be a sacrifice to mix it all up. Try to get this consistent. Okay, that'll do. Not perfect, but it'll work. I'm going to get my basing material out, which is, for them, a mix of static grass and flock. More flock than static grass. I'm just going to take one grunt model at random and just fill this in around the base, going right up to the lip, trying to avoid the feet as best I can. Well, to be a little more accurate, going up to, but trying not to go above. Okay. And give them a dip in the flock. Kind of shake off the excess there. Then I'm going to take a spare brush that is dry and just carefully push that away from areas I don't want it. Need a little more on here. I need to let that set for a bit, 20 to 30 minutes usually, but that's going to vary depending on humidity and heat. But apply to the rest, and there's one more step I can do on camera once this flock's had a chance to set. Back in a minute. Alright, final step I can do on camera, Scenic Cement. This is a Woodland Scenics product. To take a glass eyedropper, specifically glass because this will bond to plastic rapidly and clog it up sooner. I think I just misspoke there. Now I'm going to take this and just carefully drip it onto the flock. This had about 20 minutes to set, but if I don't let it set first, this will just push it around and make little divots and dents, which you don't want that. So, once that dries, I can varnish it. But the varnish on the paint job and this cement will give this stuff a rock hard finish and keep the flock in your base, not in your storage box or bag. And that is it. Sword Knights with command attachment from Warmachine's Cygnar faction. Got more Cygnar coming up next. Until then, I am Ian Stokey with Mastermind Games, signing out.